How we doing today, guys? It's Jesse with the Common Man, Corpus Christi, here with a little news for you. I'm sure a lot of you have probably already heard about this story, but I want to go over it a little bit real quick because it leads into something else I want to talk to you guys about. So, as a lot of you may have heard, if you haven't, we'll go over this real quick and kind of go over the highlights. This happened out in Loudon County, Virginia. You might know that Loudon County, Virginia has been in the news a lot lately for some of the stuff that's been going on at their school board. They've had a lot of issues with that one as far as like CRT. They've been denying parents being able to speak, just different members of the community being able to speak. Matt Walsh has been out in Loudon County. You probably saw if you pay attention to social media at all in the news, you probably saw his little rant out at Loudon County go viral. He called them out for a lot of different things. If you haven't seen that yet, I highly recommend you going out there and finding that either on YouTube or Rumble, somewhere like that. Just look up Matt Walsh, Loudon County. So this is some stuff that actually happened before a lot of that we knew about a lot of this. So this just shows you how deep and how bad things have been in Loudon County for a while. And the reason why I bring this up is I know this isn't here in Texas, but if it's happening in Loudon County, Virginia, because people weren't paying attention and people don't get involved in these school board elections, these kind of things can happen here. So let's go over this story real quick. Loudon County father who has been dragged. I'm going to edit some of the words on here so we don't get in trouble with the censors. You guys can read along, and I'll put the link to this article down in the description if you want to read the whole thing for yourself. Loudon County father who was dragged out of a woke school board meeting reveals his daughter was violently assaulted in the girls' bathroom by a skirt-wearing male student who was arrested for assaulting a second girl months later, but staff did nothing. So now this is why a lot of this is really coming out, because there was a second girl assaulted in the school, and then they initially tried saying it was somebody different, and I think obviously they knew otherwise, and then it came out from the police department that it was the same person that did it all over again. Scott Smith, a 48-year-old plumber from Virginia, was arrested on June 22nd. He had been protesting at Loudon County School Board meeting. Smith was dragged out of the room before he could share his point. He says his daughter was assaulted on May 28th by a boy in the girls' bathroom. He wanted to use what happened to her to illustrate why he thinks the kids shouldn't be able to pick which gender bathroom they use. But he was dragged out before he could and has since been vilified for his views. The incident happened at Stonebridge High School on May 28th. So you're talking this was back in late spring, early summer kind of time, right before the school got out. He tells the Daily Wire that the boy sometimes wears a skirt and had started using the female bathroom. The school told Smith his daughter had been assaulted, but didn't call the police. They didn't call the police at all. Apparently, to give a little more detail, a little more context to that, because I don't know how much of the whole story we're going to read, but apparently they tried referring to this to the school resource officer and did not want to admit that this was not just a normal assault, that this was actually forcible. It was actually a forcible assault. It was rape. And I won't go into the gory details of exactly what all of the multiple accusations were during the event. Needless to say, it was gnarly. So they didn't even want to call the cops. They wanted to refer this to the school resource office and handle it like it was some bully or like it was some fight that a couple of kids got into. In the end, referring to Smith, the father, and the boy was charged with multiple counts of sodomy 2 months after the incident, after the school board meeting. On June 22nd, Loudon County school staff said they'd never had a report of a sexual assault in a trans bathroom. See, this is one of those wordplay things they do. It wasn't a trans bathroom. It was a female bathroom. It was a girl's bathroom. That's where this happened, okay? Smith says they were lying and that he exploded with rage. Obviously, who wouldn't? This is your kid. I mean, it's a miracle he's not in jail. I think the majority of us who are fathers that have children most likely would be in jail if something like this had happened. And so I don't judge him at all for exploding. But this is one of the things you have to understand when you're not paying attention to the school boards, when you're not paying attention to what's going on in your schools. This is the kind of people that could end up running your school system. Photographed. He had an interview with the Daily Wire. Smith says the boy took advantage of the school's trans policies to get into the girls' bathroom and assault her. Not named. Obviously, it's a juvenile. In October, he was arrested again on different charges for allegedly assaulting a different girl at a different school. Well, I think we see a pattern here. He's now in juvenile detention center, which he should have been in from the very beginning. But I digress. So yeah, but yeah, Smith says Loudon County Schools went out of their way to protect a predator. It's been hard to keep his mouth shut. Yeah, there's a picture of him. Yeah, God, that's just horrible. So, he talks about how his wife and him are gay and lesbian friendly, but they're not into the children tranny, cross-dressing stuff. So, but yeah, this is one of the ones this is what I wanted to kind of preface you with. And then one more thing. So pay attention to what's going on with this. Get involved in your schools. That's the biggest thing you can take away from this. And Jesus, things are getting nasty. And then just to show you one more thing about the false media that we all know pretty much. You guys probably heard about this news report as well. Child actors used for Kamala Harris's bizarre space video. Yeah, it turns out that video of her interacting with children and talking about the wonders of space. Yeah, it turned out it was all a bunch of child actors. None of it was real. It was all staged. They were actually hired and auditioned. So a video meant to sell children on the wonders of space exploration featured Vice President Kamala Harris giving a memorable loopy performance alongside a quintet of child actors who auditioned for their roles. It was revealed Monday. All five actors, all five of them are actors, Carl Benito said, whose 13-year-old son Trevor was one of the youngsters taking part, told the Washington Examiner. He's a child actor and he's been trying to do this type of thing for a while. And so he has a manager and agent in LA and they send him castings. Oh, damn. This is hilarious. Trevor Bernardo told them that asked him to submit a monologue about a topic he's passionate about, as well as 3 questions he wanted to ask a world leader. Next step, virtual interview, so on and so forth. So just remember, don't believe everything you read in the news. All right, so on to the last thing I wanted to get to before I let you all go. This is something that the Steve Deace show, if you haven't watched the Steve Deace show, I highly recommend it. It's really good. This guy's been really on point with a lot of different things. He is right way more often than he's wrong, because a lot of the things he's been right about, if he was wrong about, he wouldn't have a job anymore. He wouldn't have a career. So if you don't watch this guy, I highly recommend subscribing to his podcast. Check out his videos on Rumble. They're completely uncensored over there. You can see all of his data and all the information. He does a lot of stuff on Covidstan and a lot of the different things that's going. He's got great information. He's been the reason I've been on top of this and knowing what's going on since the very beginning. And yeah, he's been right the whole time. So this is this essentially is a new declaration of independence for the modern era against Covidstan. So just like it says right on here, pledge to defend our Constitution against Covidstan. Now, this is something that we're going to read over, and I want you to understand this is not something for the faint of heart per se, right? This is something where you read this, if you sign this, don't sign this if you don't mean it, okay? I'm serious, because it's better for us to have a solid, dedicated group of people willing to go all the way and be committed to that. It's better to have a small group of those kind of people than just a bunch of armchair patriots, run-of-the-mouth rhinos, corporatist people that are going to say a lot of good things and then not actually go through for that. That's not what this is for. So if you're one of those people watching my videos, don't bother signing this, okay? If you're not willing to stand up and go all the way with this, don't bother, okay? Because it's not worth it. We fought back here against shutting our shop down. The cops had to shut us down. We did not willingly shut down. We never required any of the BS COVID stuff, okay? Any of the ridiculous precautions, okay, that did absolutely nothing. So we never did any of that kind of stuff. So we've already been making a stand around here, and you guys see me making these videos. You see how active I am in the political arena that's down here in Corpus, okay? So do not take this lightly. But if you're willing to stand up with the rest of us, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, in peaceful civil disobedience, then maybe you should think about signing this. But don't sign this if you don't mean it. All right? So let's go over this. Our pledge to defend our Constitution against Covidstan. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of earth and earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to such a separation. Here in these United States of America, we have always held these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure those unalienable or God-given rights, governments are instituted among us. However, such government derives its power solely by the consent of the governed. Therefore, whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is not just the right of the people to alter or abolish it, but it is their moral obligation, especially when it threatens the people's safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that the government long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. Remember that, light and transient causes. Yet that is not the case with Covidstan, which is how we have chosen to contemptuously brand the combined forces behind this coercive power grab, appeared on our lands suddenly without warning less than 2 years ago. Furthermore, history has unfortunately also shown that mankind is more willing to suffer while such evils are sufferable than to rightly confront and abolish the tyranny inflicting those evils, i.e. armchair patriots. However, when in a long training of abuses and usurpations reduces us to living under absolute despotism, it is our right and duty to throw off such government. The history of Covidstan is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all resulting in direct tyranny of these United States of America. In fact, this amounts to little more than a crude attempt at invasion. Thus, it should be rejected and repelled by these United States of America. To prove this, let the following facts be submitted into evidence. Covidstan has enacted heinous and capricious policies that have threatened to do irreparable harm to our way of life, while also proving to be ineffective. In fact, it seems the more ineffective they're proven to be, the more intolerably they are forced upon us. Covidstan has killed our citizens with its ineffective and tyrannical policies. It has also caused great anguish, anxiety, and damage to our society's collective, mental, and emotional health and stability. Covidstan has robbed our children of their innocence, as well as memorable occasions and rites of passage of growing up as a free American, which previous generations took for granted. Covidstan has forcibly shut down or bankrupted multitudes of families and small businesses, while redistributing both their commerce and wealth to megacorporations that either enforce or enable its tyrannies. Covidstan has repeatedly lied, dissembled and manipulated critical data, whether by crafting it to support its policies and narrative or when it is discovered to expose its demonic levels of dishonesty. Covidstan has pitted Americans against one another and divided us into balkanized camps based on medical apartheid with its truthless propaganda and nonsensical and immoral policies. Covidstan has turned public health into a public menace, thus doing perhaps irreparable harm to the integrity and trust in a vital enterprise for the safety of the American people. Covidstan has weaponized science as a means for acquiring power and control while manipulating and discrediting it altogether. Covidstan has spawned unprecedented levels of censorship in both the public and private sectors, which is in clear violation of both the spirit and literal meaning of the First Amendment. Covidstan has operated beyond even blatant disregard for our Constitution to the point of malfeasance. In other words, it is devising plots and plans which seem to intentionally seek to undermine the social compact our Constitution both preserves and protects. Covidstan has maliciously threatened fundamental freedoms that even pre-exist these United States of America, such as the freedom to breathe free air or assemble for the worship of the Creator. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most traditional terms, legislatively, politically, and legally. And yet our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury and further tyranny. An enterprise which behaves with such lack of character and empathy may be defined as a tyrant, and is therefore unfit to be the ruler of any free people. We, the citizens, and therefore the rightful rulers of these United States of America, appeal to the supreme judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions. We pledge, in the name and the authority of these United States of America, declare our right to be free and independent of Covidstan, that all political connection between us is henceforth and immediately and totally dissolved, and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other to fulfill the following. Pay attention. We will now live as free men and women, regardless of the dictates of Covidstan, which is an invader and an usurper and therefore an illegitimate government. Whenever possible, we will defy and resist Covidstan's tyrannies openly, brazenly, and proudly without remorse. We will live as if our rights still come from God, which they do. In situations where outright defiance and resistance isn't yet achievable, we will use the occasion to turn the talisman of Covidstan against itself with utter contempt, scorn, and mockery. We will not submit our children to be Covidstan's test subjects any longer, whether that is for its mask psyops in the schools we own and subsidize, or forced injections of your experimental therapeutics whose true efficacy and long-term concerns are still largely unknown. We will aggressively oppose, resist, and defy any attempts to coercively impose any form of a vaccine mandate, whether from the public or private sector, by any peaceable means necessary, even if that includes threatening the flow of vital endeavors such as interstate commerce and travel. We will no longer permit Covidstan to use a virus within a less than 1% case fatality rate as the ruse by which it gets to steal our elections via banana republic voting, counting methods, or sophisticated mail-in ballot harvesting schemes. We will no longer permit Covidstan to continue killing our citizens by shunning and smearing proven and affordable products that aid in the early treatment of disease, but instead will prescribe and distribute them as widely as we can to save as many lives as we can. When empowered to do so, we will use the political and legal power we acquire to actively seek out agents, operatives, and collaborators of Covidstan to be publicly punished and made an example out of in order to send one resounding message. Never again will this happen here. In summary, we, the people of these United States of America, pledge to one another our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honors. In carrying out among ourselves the oath of office too many of our elected servants have betrayed. Since they have mostly abandoned us to defend ourselves against Covidstan, we will now act accordingly. We, the undersigned, pledge we will defend our Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and, in case of Covidstan, domestic. All right, so I don't think they show how many people have signed this yet, but I don't want you getting into this thinking that you don't have to mean this. Because the only way out of this is when we stand up and stop obeying. The only way out is through. And it's up to us. The only answer is us. No one's coming to save us. There's not going to be any magical change in leadership. Okay? What's going on right now is what we're going to be dealing with for at least the next year and a half to 3 years, until the end of 2022 or until the end of 2024. So you need to get that through your head. No one is coming to save us. It is our job to stand up and take care of this ourselves. And the only way to do that is with peaceful civil disobedience. Peaceful civil disobedience. Stand up, stop submitting, start standing up and acting like Americans. So if you feel as strongly about this as I do, if you believe what I believe, if you've seen what I've seen, to steal a line from V for Vendetta, then stand up. Stand out. Sign this pledge. Share it with like-minded individuals. But do not take this lightly. We are serious, and I would rather have 5,000 dedicated people standing shoulder to shoulder with me, marching through the streets with peaceful civil disobedience and in peaceful protest, then 1 million of you sign this just to sit at home and do nothing. So show this to people you think it will actually matter to. Sign it, commit to it, and stand up and stop all of this. With the Common Man, Corpus Christi, this is Jesse. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you want to help to support the channel a little bit farther, go check out our t-shirt store over on spring.com, over on creatorspring.com. It's under the Common Man Corpus Christi. Some of the new shirts we've got, our classic logo on the t-shirt, and then of course everybody's new favorite, Let's Go Brandon. So if you want to help support the channel and maybe get to me doing this a little bit more full time, please go over to the store and pick up a t-shirt. Thanks, guys.